The young and the restless spoilers shock. The tension in the Abbott mansion's sunlit foyer was electric when Martin, believed by some to be Alan, found himself face to face with Ashley Abbott. His voice was deceptively calm as he accused her of poisoning Tracy's mind. "You've planted these crazy ideas in her head," he said, his tone a blend of accusation and wounded pride. He took a half-step closer, lowering his voice. "You've always been attracted to me, haven't you?" Ashley's eyes flashed with indignation. She stood her ground. "I'm not the one who's lying," she shot back. "You know exactly who you are." Martin's posture shifted, as if sensing an opportunity to manipulate. He turned toward Tracy, his gaze softening. "But I chose your sister," he added quietly, as though sharing a painful confession. "And that made you angry." Tracy's breath caught. The man she thought she knew, the man who claimed to love her, was unraveling in front of her. He reached out tentatively. "Did you ever love me?" he asked, voice trembling with a vulnerability that felt too practiced. Tracy swallowed hard. The truth she had buried beneath hope and doubt surged to the surface. "I loved a lie," she whispered, her words heavy with grief. At that moment, in the privacy of Tracy's bedroom, Jack and Ashley huddled over her phone, listening to the end of the call. They'd tapped into the line, desperate for confirmation. Tracy, voice wavering, had told Alan that she wasn't canceling their wedding, only postponing it. She had believed he would understand. On the call, Alan's voice, his or Martin's, sounded hurt and confused. "So you're putting it off?" he asked, as though wounded by her indecision. Tracy's fingers fidgeted in her pockets. "I just need more time," she said softly. From the hallway, Jack and Ashley exchanged a look. They heard the slight rustle as Tracy's hand slipped into her pocket, surely a signal she'd summoned Jack. Moments later, they burst in, feigning casual surprise. "Hey, we were in the neighborhood," Jack said, voice light but eyes sharp. Ashley moved closer to the man at the foot of the bed. "We didn't see you in Paris," she pointed out, her tone neutral but her gaze unwavering. He stiffened, turning to face them both. "Tracy, explain," he urged, glancing between the three of them. Tracy drew a shaky breath. "I want an engagement with time," she said, voice cracking. "I need to be sure." He reached for her hand. "Love is enough," he insisted. But Tracy pulled away. "It's not enough," she said, tears brimming. "I'm sorry." He recoiled, confusion and hurt flashing across his face. Without another word, he turned and walked out the door. As the hallway door clicked shut, Tracy sank onto the edge of the bed, shoulders shaking. "I hate how this has gone," she sobbed. Jack knelt beside her, wrapping an arm around her trembling shoulders. Ashley stood close, arms crossed but eyes soft with solidarity. "He wouldn't have done this," Jack murmured. "Not the Alan we know." Ashley nodded, stepping forward. "It's Martin. I'm certain." The calculation, the control, it was him all along. Tracy buried her face in her hands. I thought I knew him," she sobbed. "How could I be so wrong?" Ashley placed a gentle hand on Tracy's back. "You loved the man you believed him to be," she said quietly. "That's not your fault." Jack and Ashley exchanged a determined glance. Outside, the world of Genoa City continued its ceaseless churn, but inside that quiet room, a new resolve was born, to expose the impostor, to reclaim Tracy's future, and to bring the true villain to justice. And as Tracy's tears began to subside, a fragile hope flickered, hope that, with her family's support, she would finally see the truth revealed and the real Alan Abbott vindicated. Tracy sat alone in the dim light of her private study, the weight of the past few days heavy on her chest. On the mahogany table in front of her lay the engagement ring, a delicate, glittering band that was meant to symbolize a promise of forever. But this ring carried with it a history steeped in misery and deceit. It had once belonged to a man who, in every conceivable way, was a disgrace, a vile, contemptible figure whose memory was too painful to even speak aloud. The thought of accepting such an emblem, an object tainted by his legacy, made Tracy shudder. It was as if the ring's cold metal burned with the shame and horror of everything it represented. For Tracy, the ring was not just jewelry. It was a symbol of what might have been, a betrayal of her heart, and a painful reminder of how she had been exploited. The man who had once offered it to her was Martin, a man she had once believed to love her, yet who had proven himself to be nothing more than a deceitful opportunist. Martin's actions, his calculated moves to use her trust and affection, had wounded her deeply. Every time she looked at the ring, she was forced to remember the cold calculation in his eyes and the cruelty of his indifference. Yet, even as these bitter memories surfaced, a different current of thought began to rise among those who had witnessed the tumult of recent events. Whispers circulated among friends and confidants that Martin, despite his transgressions, might have harbored a genuine love for Tracy, a love marred by the scars of a grudge that extended far beyond personal betrayal. According to these murmurs, Martin's relentless pursuit was not merely the work of a callous manipulator, it was the desperate act of a man driven by a need to take vengeance on a world that had wronged him. In his eyes, his actions, no matter how twisted, were a means to settle scores with those he believed had abandoned him. One rain-soaked evening, Tracy agreed to meet Martin in the secluded confines of an old conservatory at the edge of the estate. The setting was bittersweet, a place where the scent of damp earth and wilted roses mingled with the tension of unresolved emotions. Flickering candlelight revealed the pained expression on Martin's face as he waited, clutching a small, worn notebook filled with notes and half-formed confessions. "Tracy," Martin began, his voice low and tremulous, "I know you're hurting. I know that everything I did, every word, every gesture, has left you broken." He paused, his eyes searching hers for some sign of forgiveness or understanding. "But please, listen to me. There's more behind it all than you think." Tracy's hands clenched around the strap of her bag. The engagement ring lay hidden in her purse, a secret symbol of the betrayal she'd endured. "Explain to me," she said, her voice wavering between anger and sorrow, "explain how you can justify this. How can you expect me to accept the ring, knowing what it represents? How do you expect me to believe that you ever truly loved me?" Martin's gaze dropped to the floor, the flicker of candlelight dancing across his troubled features. "I never intended to hurt you, Tracy," he murmured. "Every moment I spent with you, every tender word, was real to me. I love you, I always have. But I have this unyielding hatred for the world, for the people who cast me aside, who made me feel worthless. In that darkness, I turned to you, hoping that what we shared would be a beacon. I thought that if I could hold on to you, I could somehow atone for the pain I've suffered. I was desperate, and I made choices that I now regret." He looked up slowly, his eyes glistening with a mixture of regret and determination. "You see this ring?" he asked, lifting his hand as if to draw attention to the artifact of their shared past. "I never meant for it to be a symbol of your burden. It was meant to be a token of love, a promise that we could rise above everything. But I understand, it's tainted by the man it once belonged to, and I never should have let that shadow our future." Tracy's heart pounded in her ears. She remembered the piercing moments of betrayal, how the ring had been presented as a promise, only to later reveal itself as a relic of deception. "You say you love me," she whispered, tears glistening in her eyes, "but how do I know that your love isn't just another lie? How do I trust you when every instinct tells me you're nothing but a manipulator? How can I believe that you aren't using our past to justify a need for revenge, a need that ultimately hurts me?" Martin took a step forward, his voice growing more urgent. "I know I've done terrible things. I know I've exploited your kindness and shattered your trust. And yes, I have a grudge against those who hurt me, against everyone who ever made me feel inferior. But love, true love, should be free of vengeance. I'm not asking you to forget the past, Tracy. I'm asking you to see beyond it, to believe that somewhere beneath this anger lies a man who still cares for you. I want to be the one who helps you heal, not the one who leaves you in pain." In that fraught silence, Tracy's mind raced with memories and conflicting emotions. The ring in her purse was more than just an object, it was a symbol of promises broken, of the harsh reality that had shattered her illusions. She had heard both sides of the story. On one hand, Martin's words were filled with remorse and a desperate plea for redemption. On the other, his actions, the calculated cruelty and the unrelenting manipulation, had scarred her deeply. As the conversation unfolded, the room seemed to shrink around them, the air heavy with the weight of unspoken truths. Tracy knew that she must decide whether to trust the man before her. If his love was genuine despite the betrayal, or if it was yet another carefully woven lie designed to mask his true nature. Her heart ached with the longing for love that was pure and unburdened by vengeance, yet her mind screamed that she had been deceived too many times before. After what felt like an eternity, Tracy's voice broke the silence. "I want to believe you, Martin," she said, her tone thick with sorrow and uncertainty. "But I don't know if I can. Every fiber of my being tells me that you've used me, that you've hurt me on purpose. I don't know if I can ever look at that ring again without feeling the sting of betrayal." Martin's eyes filled with a pained understanding. "I don't expect forgiveness to come easily," he replied. "I'm not asking for immediate absolution. All I ask is for a chance to prove that my love isn't a lie, to show you that the pain I caused wasn't just for revenge, but for a twisted form of passion that I now regret. I need you to see that I'm willing to change, to fight against the hatred that has consumed me for so long." Tracy's silence was deafening. Outside, the distant rumble of thunder punctuated the moment, mirroring the storm raging within her. Was Martin's love real, or was it just another mask to hide his darker motives? The engagement ring, once meant to be a symbol of their commitment, had become a curse, a constant reminder of what had been lost and what might never be reclaimed. In the days that followed, Tracy wrestled with her decision. Friends and family offered their opinions, some urging her to give Martin a second chance, while others warned her to beware of a man whose past was stained with deceit. In quiet moments of reflection, Tracy wondered if love could ever truly overcome betrayal. Could she forgive a man who had hurt her so deeply, or was the wound too fresh, the scar too permanent? In the end, the decision rested with her. The choice was not just about accepting or rejecting Martin's explanation, it was about reclaiming her own sense of self, her worth, and her future. As she gazed down at the ring, hidden away like a painful secret, Tracy realized that her journey toward healing might not lie in forgiving Martin outright, but in forging a new path where she was in control. A path where her heart could finally learn to trust itself again. Will Tracy find the strength to believe that Martin's love might be genuine, or will the memories of betrayal seal her heart against him forever? Only time will reveal the truth. For now, Tracy stands at a crossroads, caught between the desperate hope for redemption and the harsh reality of a love built on deception. And in that fragile balance, she must decide whether to allow herself the possibility of healing or to guard her heart against further pain.